Hello and welcome back to the Impossible Turn series. My name is Daniel Schwartz, and today we'll be demonstrating the effect of different bank angles on our ability to successfully complete the impossible turn. We'll be using bank angles of 15, 25, 35, and 45 degrees, and we'll discuss the pros and cons of a steeper versus a shallower bank later on in this video. We're going to start off here in the Cessna 172 G1000, which was one of the 3 airplanes in our previous video that could not successfully make the runway. So you can see we've rotated off runway 16 left in Manassas Regional Airport, same exact scenario as yesterday, with a overall weight of 2,378 pounds. Our weight profile is in the description. We have standard weather, standard temperature, standard pressure, and no wind. In our third video of this series, we'll be discussing the effects of different levels of headwind on our ability to successfully make the runway. So 1,000 feet AGL, we're going to have the engine failure with a 3 to 4 second delay, and we're going to start off here with a 15-degree bank back towards the runway. With a shallower bank, you're able to retain more of your vertical component of lift, meaning our descent rate stays fairly close to what it is going straight ahead, whereas in a steeper bank, we lose more vertical lift and our descent rate increases during the turn. However, with a steeper bank, our radius of our turn is shorter, and so our overall distance to head back towards the runway is less. And so it's sort of the trade-off of preserving your rate of descent versus shortening your distance back to the runway. As you can see here, the 15-degree bank turn, there is absolutely no way we're going to head back to the runway. We're at our 68 knots of best glide in the Cessna 172S, but there is just no hope. Into the trees we go. Well, that didn't go so well. Let's try it one more time with a 25-degree bank. Accelerating down the runway to 55 knots. We'll rotate and accelerate up to 75 knots, our climb speed here, a little bit above VY. Another thing to keep in mind at these slow speeds around our best glide speed. This best glide speed is similar to what you would fly during slow flight, the maneuver of slow flight. And when we do slow flight, we want to limit our bank angle to 10 to 15 degrees because as you increase your bank angle, the speed at which you stall also increases. So increasing your bank angle heading back towards the runway also increases your chance of a stall if you're not careful on your speed. Now we're starting the turn. We're going to try a 25-degree bank turn this time. You can see our rate of descent is right around 900 feet per minute. And we'll compare that for our different bank angles. So yeah, it looks like about 900 feet per minute in a 25-degree bank. Again, maintaining 68 knots, but looks like there is just no way we're going to make the runway. Although, looks like we were a little bit closer this time. Looks like that extra 10 degrees did help. Let's see if that trend continues as we steepen our bank angle. Attempt number 3. This time we'll be doing a 35-degree bank. .55, rotate. Accelerate towards 75. climbing out at about a 10-degree nose-up pitch attitude. And 1,200 feet. Pull the mixture. Induce an engine failure. 3-second delay. Push forward on the yoke. And this time we're going to go into a 35-degree bank angle. And this time our descent rate looks to be right around 1,000 feet per minute. So a little bit more of a descent rate than before. Now that we've leveled our wings, you can see our descent rate has decreased up to about 800 feet per minute. And once again, we're a little bit closer to the runway each time, but still not close enough to make it. Adding some flaps just to extend our glide a little bit, but it's not going to do anything. And one more test of 45 degrees. Anything steeper than a 45-degree bank with these slow speeds I believe would be risky, and I would not condone banking steeper than 45 degrees. Because also beyond 45 degrees you risk overbanking tendency, and overbanking tendency plus slow airspeeds plus less than 1,000 feet AGL. Just not a very smart thing to do. In this configuration we are 93% of our maximum gross weight, so we are relatively heavy, but we still have close to 200 pounds before we're at max gross weight. There goes the engine failure. Intercept that 68 knots and over to our 45-degree bank angle. And in our 45-degree bank, our descent rate is well over 1,000 feet per minute, so each time we lose more altitude in the turn, but we cut the distance. Let's see how this one looks. And once again, this is the closest we've gotten to the runway. So 45-degree bank angle will shave off the most distance, and the difference in vertical speed during the turn is not enough to offset that reduction in distance. So now that we know that 45-degree bank angles is the magic number to help get you to the runway, let's see if we can do our plan B here. So instead of a right turn back to runway 34 left, it'll be a left turn and attempt to land on taxiway Bravo. Once again, runway 16 left is longer, and the threshold on the departure end will be closer to us once we've turned back around the runway 34 left. Roll over to the left, 45-degree bank. Again, our descent rate over 1,000 feet per minute. We're losing a lot of altitude, but the time in which we're in the turn is the least because we're able to swing the airplane around faster. And in our previous episode, we were using about a 35-degree bank angle to head back towards the runway. This video has demonstrated that 45 degrees will actually help you more. And as you can see in the previous video, the Cessna 172S couldn't even make it to taxiway Bravo with 35-degree bank angle. but with a 45-degree bank angle turn, we're able to successfully make taxiway Bravo. So in a scenario where there's no wind, turn left. In this visual aid, you can clearly see how each time we increased our bank angle, the radius of our turn and our overall distance back towards the runway dramatically decreased. So, now that we know that a 45-degree bank angle is the optimum bank angle to attempt the impossible turn, let's see if that 45-degree bank angle can help the other two airplanes that didn't quite make the runway in our previous video. First up, the Cherokee 180. Our weight and balance profile is the same as our previous video. Overall weight of 2,126 pounds, or an 88% of our maximum gross weight. Climbing out at the same exact speed that we did in our previous video, between 85 and 90 miles an hour. About 1,200 feet. 3-second delay into our 45-degree bank angle. If you look at the pilot's operating handbook for a Cherokee 180, you will see that stall speed at a 45-degree bank angle is pretty close to our best glide speed of 82 miles an hour. So the handling on the airplane is quite twitchy in steep banks at slow airspeeds. And as you can see, heading back towards 3-4 left, even with a 45-degree bank angle, there's no hope. These short, stubby little 30-foot wings, just not going to cut it. Keep in mind that in this scenario we have no wind. We have no headwind to help push us back towards the runway on our upwind. We have no tailwind to help push us back towards the runway once we've turned around. In our next video we'll see what effect the wind has. Rotate at 70, accelerate towards somewhere between 85 and 90. And this time we're going to make the left turn, land on taxiway Bravo. See if in a Cherokee 180, under these conditions, at a 45-degree bank angle, is enough to land on taxiway Bravo. There's the engine failure, push the nose over. Once again, this airplane, our climb speed compared to our glide speed are relatively close. So you have to watch that. Once you push the nose over, you don't want to undershoot your best glide speed too much. But we have to have those 3 to 4 second delay just for realism. Alright, this one looks okay. We might make it. Descent rate about 900 feet per minute, so a little bit worse than the S model Cessna, which of course had a 6-foot wider wingspan than this. Nope, not going to make it. We're going to end up in the trees, so even a Cherokee 180 can't do it. Now we're in the Archer 2. Has a 5-foot wider wingspan than the Cherokee 180. And theoretically that should help with our glide ratio. And as we saw in our previous video, this airplane could make taxiway Bravo even with just a 35-degree bank angle turn. So hopefully a 45-degree bank angle will make that even more certain. This airplane, we're climbing out between 75 and 80 knots. And our best glide is 76, which means that it is very prone to undershooting our best glide speed once we lose the engine. We have to dive down, which robs even more altitude. Another 700 to 800 foot per minute climb. Push the nose over into that 45-degree bank turn. See if we can make 3-4 left first. Well over 1,000 foot per minute descent, close to 1,500 foot per minute descent on the turn. And once we roll wings level, our descent rate goes from 1,300 to about 900. It's about a 50% decrease in glide rate once we're in a 45-degree bank turn. It's very severe and not going to make it. We're a lot closer than the Cherokee 180, but just not going to get there. Even with the flaps give us a little bit of a boost, but in a no-wind scenario, not going to happen. We saw in our previous video that this airplane did make taxiway Bravo with a 35-degree bank angle turn. With a 45-degree bank angle turn, we're just reinforcing that result. This airplane climbs quite well at first, about 800 to 900 foot per minute, and then once you get over 500 feet AGL, it starts to come down to about 700 feet per minute. There goes the engine. Slowed us down to about 70. Now we have to dive down to get back to 76 knots. Happens quite quickly. A 45-degree bank angle turn. Keep in mind the higher glide speed of this plane, 76 knots, means we're going to head back to the runway faster than the S model Cessna of 68 knots, and also faster than the Cherokee 180, which equates to about 71 knots. And easily, we cleared the trees easily. Looks like we'll have a successful landing back on taxiway Bravo. So just like the S model Cessna in a no-wind scenario, do not turn right, turn left.